All right, so we're going to get into our tutorial today for the jewellery box with the sliding lid after our last little technical hiccup last lesson. So I'll take you through what we're going to do here today with our learning intentions. So we're going to understand and apply skills in 3D modelling to manufacture sheet material design. So that's what's different about our manufacturing. We're going to understand the process of making and working with components, which will also be a new thing as well. We're going to understand how animation can be used to animate the lid opening and closing. We're going to learn the process of adding graphic elements to our work in Adobe Illustrator. And the main tools and processes that we're using here, we're going to be sketching, as always, extruding to 3mm because we're working with 3mm sheet material. We're going to be creating components based on the sketches and bodies that we make. So when we do an extrude, we'll be clicking Create Component where we can. To join our wood together, to join our sheet material together, we're going to be slotting and tabbing. And within that, we're going to be sizing our joins properly using the push-pull command. We're going to be setting our material as timber, as pine, and we're going to be creating drawings from this 3D model in order to laser cut. So the vectors that we create from our 3D model in the plan drawing, we can send straight through to our laser cutter and laser cut from there. Your success criteria will be to the specified size and have tightly fitting joints. As I've said before, if you want to modify the design, add an extra drawer to it or like graphic elements as well, that's absolutely fine, but you'll need to let me know what you're doing and put up plans to back that up too. The mechanism of the opening and closing lid will work in similar fashion to what I model here. Hopefully it all works. And the box will have adaptations to the functional and or aesthetic elements of the design. If you're still beginning in Fusion 360, just go for aesthetics and get your head around Adobe Illustrator. If you really want a challenge, do Illustrator and functional elements, so add an extra secret compartment or something like that to it as well. The animation of the joint. So finished all the sides and everything, they're done. If you go up here, you'll notice there's joints up in this section. And if I go on to joints, what I've done here is I've set everything as a rigid group, meaning it's locked together in that configuration, except for the lid. So you can see the lid's not actually highlighted there. And then I've done a pin slot joint, meaning that it moves in a direction and rotates around an axis simultaneously. So I'll see if I can animate that joint and we'll see if I've gotten it right. There we go. So if you zoom in here, you can see it's going down that axis up and down and it's rotating by 90 degrees, okay? So if everything goes to plan, hopefully that's what you'll have as well. And if you have any ideas, creative ideas of how you can change that mechanism, very happy for you to do that too, okay? We're also going to be developing drawings from this. Your drawings won't be as heavily annotated. I've made these for our Google Classroom. But where we can, we'll be spacing out all of our components at 1-to-1 scale on a single plan document. All right, and without further ado, we're going to get into this. So we're going to go off a technique we started last project where we dimensioned everything, yeah? We saw, we just drew our box and then we added stuff to the outside and then went through and dimensioned everything. All of your dimensioning for every single component while you're modeling everything will be to the millimeter. There won't be any decimals there. So please don't try and model everything like I've done here. Okay, so you'll see there's 19.8 there. I've changed the sizing of those joints so we have tight fitting pieces that go together. But the first stage of this is modeling it to the whole millimeter. Then we go through and use the push-pull command, which is just here, to go through and manually adjust the size of our joints. Okay? Let's get into it. The first component I'm going to make, I'm going to go straight to new component. and I'm going to call it box base, and I'm going to go OK. And you'll see here it's made a new component underneath. Within each component, you'll have an origin. You turn that one off, turn the other one, turn that one on, turn the other one off, and then you can start sketching like normal. All right. The advantage you have here, it's organizational. So you can isolate each component, model it individually, turn the view on and off of other objects. It makes your modeling a lot more organized and your ability to make more complex 3D models a lot greater. So on the bottom plane, I'm going to do a sketch, and I'm going to dimension the base of my board, and then I'm going to add my tab joints to the outside. Okay, and that is just going to be, I'll dimension it even though I've got it to the right size. So that is going to be 100 millimeters. And then dimensioning the side, 80 millimeters. So once I've pressed the D shortcut and I've dimensioned those, you'll notice the line turns from blue to black. That dimension's locked in now. So the reference here is locked into the center and locked in at that dimension. So I've made the final part of my plan. So those are the dimensions that we're going to be in. I'll have to update that in Google Classroom as well. I'll save that just in case. Okay, so I'll be able to go back and use that as a reference, and so will you. So I'm going to go around and just put in my rectangles around the outside. So one, and I'm very aware that they're not to size. I'm also going to turn off snap to grid. I'm going to be using dimensioning to get everything right, okay? So go around, don't be perfect, just get 3 boxes on each side in line with the drawing. Then we'll go and do our dimensioning afterwards. The only thing you need to get is you want to see this little blue cross on the edge when you're drawing your 2-point rectangle, okay? So it needs to be snapped to the outside of this box we've drawn here, okay? So now I will go through. I'll see if I can select looks like I can only dimension 2 things. Oh well, so go around here, dimension 3 millimeters. Okay, I'll use that as my reference dimension. So if I change the top right measurement at all, on all of the references for all the other tabs will go back to here. Okay. What else do I have in my base dem? 10 and 10, 25. Cool. I'll make sure this one's 10 as well. Okay. Now when I dimension this, hit the D key, go here to this top line and place it here. But then when that's blue and editable, I'm just going to click once on here and I'll say D3, enter. It'll change to the same dimension. Same here as well. Place it where you need to place it and D3. So however you want to do it, you could go through and dimension all of those in one go. Click on D3, enter. And in the tutorial video, would you like me to edit past this, or do you want me to have every single little click in there? No one cares? All right. If you want to open up your own file and start following along, that's great. Otherwise, just watch the tutorial and get as much as you can out of it, please. Okay, so I've got these outsides to dimension. And this one here, I didn't dimension properly. You can always go back and just click your reference. Okay, so that dimension's all in place. So now I'm just going to go through and do the horizontal dimensioning here. It's going to be 10. Go through and reference internally as much as you can. Keen to hear your thoughts on whether you think this is a longer process or a shorter one than our other method of just using the line tool. I'll go back and check my, so that's 15 on the side between each. If you get this, it just means it's not a necessary constraint on the sketch. So don't worry about it, just go cancel. Okay, so that side's fully constrained. Now I'll go through and make the top like the bottom. Okay, I shouldn't need to dimension that one at the bottom there. And finally, I'll go back and check my reference. So there's 10 here, 10, 10, 25. $25mm dimension here. Okay, and after this we should be fully constrained. Okay, so there's our sketch all dimensioned, all our tabs done properly. Now the next step is to go through and use our trim tool to trim out, and you will need to press trim at least twice. And this line here is just a measurement line, I'd say. So the true test will come when we're done cutting everything out. Going through, and all we're doing here is just joining our tabs, the main body of this sketch. You can see my snipping tool is active there. You'll get warnings that you've deleted a line you've referenced. It should be okay, but it'll tell you if you've lost a reference there. And if you do, just go re-reference it. Okay, so just checking for any blue lines. It won't be the end of the world if you don't fix them up like I'm doing here. All right, now final test for this sketch is to go through and just make sure that everything is selectable. Okay, so we want to click on that slightly light blue shaded area, and when we click on it, we want to see all blue. Okay, and once we've got that, then we can go through and hit finish sketch. So with that still selected, all you need to do now is go extrude, and it's already going in the direction we want it to, and we'll hit 3. And you hit enter. And for this component, I'm immediately going to go in, right click on my component and go down to this one here, physical material. If you don't do this, again, it's not the end of the world. I'm just doing this properly for the dem. Under here, you'll have physical materials, click on wood, and the type of wood that we use is radiata. And you just click and drag. You can close that. It'll just make it look like wood, and it'll give it the wood material properties like density and things like that if that's what you really need. I just like to do it to make my visualizations look good. Okay, so now we've done our very first component. We've only got about 7 minutes left, so I'll keep recording after the bell goes, and I'll probably just record it, pause the recording when we get a bit closer to that, and then I'll get back to it there after you guys have gone. So what we're going to do next is the same process all over again, but with the sides, okay? I'll start this here. So new component key. I will call this the side. So box side. And we'll go okay. And now we can select our surface to sketch onto. We can still use this other component as a reference for new sketching, and we should. So what I'm going to start sketching on is one of these areas here, okay? So I'll go here and new sketch, and then I'm going to go back and reference the dimensions of the thing that I'm copying. So if I go to base, I think side is the first one. So here I've got 60 by 80. I don't think that 80.2 is, I think I've done something funny there. So yeah, I'll make that 60 by 80. So what we need to do here is if you look up above, we need to use these corners here as a reference. So I'm going to go and look at it. You can also revolve around and draw your dimensions manually like that. And then click on look at and put in your proper dimensions there. So keeping in mind this part is 60 by 80, and I will have extra pieces on the outside as well. So 80 there and 60 here. Click on that, and I'll dimension that in a bit. So this top side and that and bottom are constrained, and I'll also constrain this as well. So I'll just go and check that my, so 60 and 80, good. That's in alignment. 80, awesome. So that's fully constrained there. Now just going back to check my side piece here. I'll do these parts first. So what have I got? I might need to actually dimension these just a little bit more. So that's 10, 10, 20, So 10, 10 and 20 in the middle is what I can do. All right, so again, I'll just use the same technique. I'll just plonk down some squares. I'll go and turn off the grid now. And I'll just put down some rectangles, and then I'll dimension them after. Okay, so now going to DT. Okay, and I'll go and trim these out all in here. So that's done blue, so I can hit D again and dimension it against the side. Great, so that's done. I'll go back and check the back. So same on the other side. It's the same on the other side here as well. So D key, oops. Okay, and just dimensioning the depth of these, so going between here and the main line about there. And okay, and trim that back out too. Okay. Now the next thing I need to do here is I actually need to move these down. So if you look here, these are a bit further down. I need a bit of space underneath. So these tabs here need to be a bit further moved up. So what I'm going to do is select and go to Modify Move. And I'll move that down. See if I can move the whole sketch down. And I don't think I can because I'm fully constrained. So what I'm going to need to do here is actually delete the constraint here. All right, so hopefully this will let me move it down. And I'll delete this one as well. See how that goes. The other alternative here is obviously just to draw an extra part underneath. So I can just do this. I can turn my snap grid back on. And so here, and make that that 8 millimeters. And I'll go to my constraint and make this line collinear with the one above. Collinear. There. Now I can go in and just trim out the lines that I don't need. Cool. Okay, there's a bit of a break in my line there, so just watch out for things like that. I could be seeing an all blue, light blue area. Use the shortcut for trim, so I'll trim that out. Beautiful. And then I'll dimension this. So I think compared to my plan, this might be actually slightly higher, but that's okay. So 68 millimeters, why not? Let's go with that. Okay, so that is our side there, almost done. Last thing we need to do is use these projections, use these parts here and project. So what I'm going to show you is something new. So under Create, with the sketch still open, we're going to go to Project, Include, and click on Project Shortcut P. Shortcut P, and then all you do is you just click on the line. So what it does, it projects parts from your model onto your current sketch plane. Might just do that again, let's get the whole square. Okay, and just go, all right, on that. So now when we select this, rather than having to sketch all those out individually, we can select that area, and that's exactly what we want. And like I said, we're going to dimension these later. Now the next bit I have to add is this part up here. So my overall, if I go back to my first sketch, so the internal part's 10 by 10, I think there's a 4 millimeter border, so I'll make a little 20 millimeter, a 20 millimeter kind of addition to the top back part there. So I'll go here, use that as a reference, make this 10 and 20, go OK, and I'll remove the lines in between, like so. And now what I want to do is make that little area in here. So I'll just see how it goes in line. So notice here how it goes in line with the lid, where the lid lies. So I'm going to have to do that. And I might need to just maybe bring this down a little bit eventually as well. Make it a 7 mil. See how that works. Okay, then now what I want to do here is build in that little shape. So it needs to be a rounded corner. It's 4 millimeters high. So if I go back here to this reference, so you see that height dimension there, 4 millimeters, and a 2 millimeter round. And then there's a 6 millimeter round on there as well. I think I probably made mine a little bit bigger, but that's fine. Looks like 3 mils above here, 3 mils here, or maybe 4 mils. Yeah, but that's all good. We'll work it out. So what I'll use here is actually this called the slot tool. So if you go Create Slot, and I'll do a center to center slot. And a slot is just like a rectangle, but it has circular ends. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So 2 millimeters above. I'm going to run it from here to about here and make it a 4 millimeter height. And I'm going to use this to draw the next bit. And that's it. So going there to use the slot tool, center to center slot. And then, as with everything, trim out the parts that you don't want. Okay, and that will be our locking mechanism there. We probably don't need to have this as far forward, so I'll see if I can do a modify move. When your sketch is blue, you should be able to fully move things around. Yes, I'll do it like that. Okay, when it's black, it's fully constrained. You won't be able to move it like that as easily. I'll take this one, move it back as well. It's a bit neater. All right, and now I'm going to do my arc up here. So I'll do a tangent arc. No, I won't do a tangent arc. What could I do? I might use this one actually. So I'll go through and trim out this area, make this a little bit smaller. Good. And then I'll do an arc down here, but what I might try and do is this one, blend curve. So I'll go here to here. Doesn't look very nice. So trim that out. Might just move this line back a bit and see if it looks a bit better. That's looking a bit nicer, so I'll leave that there. This is slightly different to my plan, how I've done it there. But yeah, I'm kind of getting into using this blend curve here a little bit lately. So we'll delete that out. So I can just go trim or just select the line and press delete, or press trim for that matter. What else could I do? I could do a little round on there so it's not as sharp. So I'll go back in, right click. Edit that sketch, and I'll do that round as well on there. And create arc. I really want there to be like a, I really like this tool here, the the two tangent circle. So it lets you make a circle there, but then you have to go and trim out all the stuff. It'd be nice if there was an arc tool that did that. Oh well. Okay, I'm going to leave that unconstrained for now, because I might need to go back and make other changes to it later on. But yeah, I might also do a small round here as well. I'll try using the fillet function here between here and here. Oh, that's nice. Cool. 1mm fillet, and that deletes the mark. That's exactly the tool I wanted. Great. I'll use the fillet tool from now on. Always use them, still learning heaps. Okay, having a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mils across. I might need to make this a little bit bigger. So I'll go and take it back the other way. 2 mils there. Move this out across. I can't do that because it's constrained. I'll leave it at that. Okay, so just a final check before I go to extrude. That's the part that I want there. Okay, so my new component in my box side, I'm going to go extrude, and then I'm going to go to 3 mils. And I'm going to make it a new, I'm already in a new component, so all I need to do here is make it a new body. Okay, so everything else will be, it's all to size. We're going to resize our holes, like I said, our joins a bit later on. So what I can do here now is I can copy this component, because this side is exactly the same as the side that will be over here. So I'll go, I'll right click on my box side. I can also go here once it's selected as well. I can go move copy, and under here I can move it to the position I want it to be in. I'll show you a few different ways you can move it around too. So first thing you need to do is select the type of movement you want to do. For this one, I might do point to point. So I'm going to pick a registration point here and then move it to the desired point over there. So I'll go point to point. And make sure you click create copy. Okay, because this component's active, meaning that I have that selected there, so what I need to do here is just go back to there, and I might do this as a save. So make sure you do your naming conventions. It's my second go at it. And I'll save it there. Now, after I'm out of this area, that is not what I wanted to do with that component. It's okay. So what all this is, it's meaning that this component is like attached to this component in a different way that I didn't really want. That's fine. What's happened here? Oh, no, that's good. Okay, so now I can select this component, go to Move Copy, or right-click and go Move Copy. So if I go here and go Create Copy, but then select a different type of movement, it'll delete the Create Copy that I want. So with this one, I'm going to go point to point. You can do free move as well, so you can move this around and everything like that. But this time I'm going to do a point to point movement, which is really accurate. So here I've got my component selected, point to point. My origin point is here. Then I'm going to have to click the corresponding point on the far side. So here, origin point. Now it's asking me for the target point, and that's going to be this point here. And I can select Create Copy. So if I unselect it, that's what it will do. And after that, I've got a copy there. Okay, so I've got my sides done. So now I'm going to work on the front side, and then we'll work on the lid and the animation mechanism. The joint mechanism there as well. So it's slightly different to my other design. This area might be a little bit thin, but we'll see how it goes once we actually make it. So I'm going to make my next component here. I'll go New Component, Box Front. Okay, you can see my new component here. If you look up and when you make a new component, if you notice it's like related to another one like this, just make it, select the main model up here and make it a derivative of that. Okay, so we'll do the same thing we did before. So we'll go here, we'll make a new sketch, and we'll use that to align everything else. So the base will go up to this corner here. So sometimes I find that it's a bit easier to dimension everything by eye if you reference it like that. Because that's a black line there, if I go, yeah, that should be fine. Okay, and this one's not going to have any tabs on it because it's totally relying on the tabs sticking out. So hopefully this will be a slightly quicker make for this particular component. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my projections. So I go back to Project Include. So I'm going to start using the P shortcut. I'm going to click on this area, and this area. I'm going to click on this area and this area as well. And then I'll go OK. And then hopefully, okay, so I didn't want to have that projected, so I'll go and see if I can delete that projection. So you see here, that's the projection reference there. So I'm going to hit delete on that. You can just go and delete the lines directly. Cool, and I'm happy with that. So that's my front there. super easy part to do. Although finish sketch and same method, extrude out by 3 mil. Okay. Right, this one I'm going to have to make the material that I want it, so physical material. And drag that line across. Close. All right, and now for the back part. So if I go back and reference my sketches, so this comes up, there's the back, sides, front. You see the back comes up another few millimeters above, so in line with the so it goes another 3 millimeters above the lid. So we'll do the back and then we'll move on to the lid there. Okay, so go back to our main model, activate the main model, starting to look a bit better. And then I'll go new component again, and I'll write box. Box rear or box back. Same method, pick a surface to sketch onto and we'll extrude out. Do your main box and use the thing you've just drawn to reference it. Sometimes your references won't stick very well, so if you notice here, I'm trying to find that corner reference, that blue box, that's what I want, but before it wasn't working as well. So sometimes you can find it better just by actually dipping off to the side. So here, wrong type of rectangle. I need a 2-point, not a center. So here. Okay, and let's go in and check that I'm at the right spot there. Great. And then I'll do my projection for the back. Create, project, include, or shortcut P. And OK. Now just make sure that we can actually get the bit we want. All right, so I'll just go and edit that sketch one more time. Oh, I don't have any anymore. So just go T for trim. Trim that line up there. And then just try and select what you want to select. Cool. So once it's the shape you want it to be, that's what we need. We'll go finish sketch and we'll extrude out by 3 millimeters. Okay. Right click and physical material and drag that across. All right. Now we can do the lid. So the lid, let's have a look at the design from, I think it's from above. So the lid's here. We just need to make a little peg to go into our slot mechanism. There might be a million other ways to do this better, but this is just the way I kind of worked out for me. So I'll go back to my original model and I'll do a new component. Box lid, okay. I'll look at the top, oops, look at the top, rotate back around, there we go. Okay, I might use this front surface to sketch onto. All right, and now I'm just going to use this reference and then I'm going to trim back things as well. Okay, so here to now I need to be careful because I know that this lid is going to want to slide back and I think it's going to move by 4 mil. Okay, so here my little peg's going to sit here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mil. Okay, so I'll go to dimension. Okay, so that's 79. I want to make that 78 mil. Good. Might as well dimension this side while I'm here. 106. Okay, now I need to go in and go around, do a little joint that goes around this part and then in along here. So I'm going to use my line tool for that. So along here, in. I'll make this 4 mils, then back in. And then out to the end. And then I'll go trim. I'll do this again in a second, so not to worry. Missed it. Okay, so here. Actually, if I think about this, right, the whole mechanism is going to want to move back by what, 1, 2, 3, 4 mils. So I need 4 mils of space here at least. So 1, 2, 3, 5 mils. And then back out to here. That's better. Oops. That's my edit sketch bit, but that's okay. Right click, go back into edit. Yeah, sometimes you'll find sketching is a bit easier when you're kind of like looking off from an angle. All right, so I'll just go back and select it, make sure it is what I want it to be. Cool, so I want to remove I don't want to remove that line. But there's a projection up here for some reason. There we go. Okay. So I'll go do that with a box this time. So I'm doing it slightly differently. So 3 mil, I'll make it by 5. Good. And then I'll go and trim out those bits. Right, and then I'll go cut around with my line tool here. So go down and around to that point, out to the edge. And there we go. Trim that out, that, and that. Okay, so hopefully this works. Like, yeah. To make sure this doesn't catch, I could put a little fillet on here. So maybe I'll do that between there and there. Good. And I'll do the same here. All right. I am happy with that. So I'll just do a final selection test. So that's exactly what I want. So hopefully that'll work. All right, then I'll go finish sketch again, extrude, 3 mils. Okay. Change the material. And voila. Make the whole drawing active again. So a problem here, I can see that that has an extruded through as well. So box lid, make that active again. It's just a sketch issue. So if I look here, sorry, it's an extrude issue. But what I can do is get rid of this projection. So delete that. And then hopefully it'll regenerate. There we go. So the good thing about parametric design is we'll always try and regenerate your, the changes you make. Okay, super happy with that. Got my little jewellery box. So the next thing I want to do is work on animation. So let's do that. Now you can do just a simple joint. These are all joints, by the way, these animations. So let's just get into it. So I want to do I'm just thinking back. So what I want to do is the lid's the thing I want to move, and everything else I want to stay as what they call a rigid group. So select all the things. So I'm using Control and clicking on all the things that I want. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go rigid group. Okay, so they'll all act as one thing. Okay, but my lid is not a part of this rigid group. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is jump in and try and animate a joint. All right, so we're going to get into making this joint here, and so we'll just dive straight into the area that we need to be in. So this is the area that we're going to be working in, and we're going to be working between the lid component and the side component here, side one. So I'll show you exactly what to do. So firstly, you want to click on this joint tab or shortcut J, and you'll get this little menu coming up. And what you do is you select two references in between the two parts that you want to have moving. So here, I need to select this box lid, and you want to make sure the box lid is selected over here. And then over for this component 2 movement, I'm going to select these two parts like that. Okay, and you can see it's moving in that right direction. It does a little flip, that's absolutely fine. And what I'm going to do here is move on to the next part from that. Okay, so just to go over it. First one, do a simple reference and reference the bottom right hand corner. And for the second one, do a 2-edge intersection and reference these two edges here that I showed you before. After that, don't go OK, go to motion. And the type of joint that we want is actually a planar joint. Okay, so we want it to move around an axis and then in a direction at the same time. So we'll do that here. So if I animate this, I can see that it's rotating in the right angle, although I don't understand how that's the z-axis unless I've got my axes wrong. But no big deal. So we'll go here, planar, and we'll go all limits. Okay, and then after you select the axes that you want to work with, you'll get to edit what you want. So that is 0 degrees, and I want my maximum to be 90 degrees. Okay, and then I'm going to check rest. The default position for the joint to be at rest will be 0 degrees again. Okay, so you can preview the limit that you've set, and that's rotating in the right way that I want it to actually rotate. So I'll move on to the next one. So this is one of the directions I can take in the planar movement of the x-axis. So here I'll set that height there. So I'm doing the height now. The next one will be the horizontal movement. So height is the minimum there, and I'll set the maximum. Now you might have to go back and change this a little bit, but as this rotates, I want it to go to about here. Okay, and I'll put the rest back at -2. Okay, and I'll animate that just to show the range of motion. And if I click this all limits, it might even start rotating in more of a controlled way, but it's not. So I've done this one, I've done this one, and now I want to go into the slide 2 direction. And so I'll click on minimum, and I'll leave that there. I'll click on maximum, and I'll slide this into position. And because I've set that as a reference, I want that to align with the middle of this area here. And then I'll set this reference as 0 as well. Okay. So and I've animated that joint with all limits, and that's looking pretty much what I want it to look like, but you'll see the back end here is clashing. So what I'll do is I'll go in and change this to 1 millimeter. And I'll play it again. And you can see the difference there. I might change it back to 2, just because it seems like a big change that it's made there. Okay, I'll go OK on that. And then just to make sure, I'll go animate joint. And you'll see there, after everything's animated, it's still clashing with that back bit. So I'll go right click, sorry, I'll press escape to stop it. Right click, edit joint, and I'll go back to that motion and that third option and change 2 back to 1. Okay. So I'll go OK on that, and then we'll animate this joint again. And there we go. See a little bit of clashing in this bit here, but overall, that joint is animating the way I want it to. Okay. And to stop it from animating, just hit escape, and that will go back to the part that you want to go back to the position. You'll notice there's a little 1 millimeter lip here because we moved that lid in the joint process. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, so last thing I need to show you is how to resize all of this for manufacturing, and then actually we have to do our manufacturing plan. So here we're going to go through and go through each of our components and resize these negative spaces here. So all the holes we have to resize, and to do that we're going to need to isolate each of our components. Okay, so I'm going to go to this area. And I'm just going to do one thing that I need to fix. I actually need to copy out the side because I've stuffed up this part here. So I'm going to delete that component. Still got my side, good. So I'm going to go to box side 2, and I'm going to go move, copy, create copy, and go to do my point-to-point move again. So I'll select the reference point there, and the reference point here, and that's all good. Yes, I use point-to-point movement there. And the reason was I didn't want that component to be a part of this. I think probably in the process I've stuffed up my joints, so I'll quickly go back in and do that again. So just for your benefit, I guess, I'll demonstrate it twice. I will move this lid I'll move it back by 1 millimeter. Just check that's in line, good. Okay. Okay, so back into the joint. So I didn't realize that fixing would just ruin my whole joint work that I just done. So here, the reference point on the component that I want. Fantastic. And the reference point on the component that I want to guide it around. Alright, and then I have my range of motion again. Go to motion, make sure planar is selected. You can animate this just to make sure it's rotating in the right direction. You might need to play around with the axis of rotation and angle and plane of movement. But yeah, we'll go through this way. Stop it from animating. Click minimum, and we'll set that as 0. Click maximum, just set that as 90. And click rest, we'll set that as 0. Okay, so we'll animate that. It's animating in somewhat of the way that we want it to, but it's moving strangely. That's okay. So here, our minimum will be there. Our maximum, where it moves to, we'll grab and set that. Okay, and then I'll go here. So you need to be very careful to select what you want and to move it while that area is selected if you're going to use this. If you're going to use these sliders to drag it around. I've had a lot of learning to do about that. Okay, so do that as well. So I'll animate this. Cool. So it's moving up and down the right way, but this third direction is still not good. So that is the resting point for it. I'll actually set the rest point as there. And then I'll set the maximum as 1 + 1 millimeter. And I'll set the rest as the same as this, so -1. Just type in -1. Okay. And I'll see how that works. Looks okay. You can see a bit of clashing at the bottom there, but that might be, not be acceptable. Cool. So we'll go okay on that, and then we'll animate our joint. Go to joints. And animate joint. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. On the return, it's clashing a little bit, but that's okay. I can go and edit that, yeah. But as long as you get something like that going, that's great. Cool. So I'll stop that, and then we'll get into our other parts. So first thing I want to do is go to the sides, and I want to isolate everything. So here, I want to just work on this side here. I actually want to turn off the vision and everything else. I just want to focus on this object. And the method is we are going in, selecting the inside of these cuts, these extrusion holes here. And what I'll do is just select everything on the same angle as you go, and then change your angle, select everything else. And what you want to do is change use the push-pull command and do -0.1. Oops, sorry, that is 0.1. Sometimes it's hard to know what the positive and negative direction is. If I go back and change it to 0 again, you'll notice them slightly change in size, yeah? 0.1. Okay. And that just makes it slightly smaller, so when I put it together in my manufacturing plan, it all works. Okay. All right, so that one's done. Box base, let's have a look at that. Let's make box base our active component. This, I don't think we really need to do much to it. We could go out and use push-pull to make these a little bit wider, but I don't think we'll need to. I'll make less work at the moment, and we'll see how we go. And if I need to make an amendment to the video, that's not okay. So on the other side, make that the active component, and I'll go through and hold down Control. Click on these sides, so holding down Control the whole time. And if you click something by accident, an edge or something like that you don't want, just click it again and reselect it. Go push-pull once that's all selected, 0.1. Okay. Just make sure that's actually worked yet. So if I go back in my timeline, I can see those holes are slightly smaller. Cool, that's great. So box lid done, let's go to the front. Box front, make that the active component. Okay, and then I'll do the same method again. Clicking on the inside. And then again, 0.1 of a millimeter. Okay, I've done the box front. We'll do the box rear. Make that the active component by clicking the button. Same thing again. And so just again, if you accidentally click an edge, just hold down Control again and re-click it. You'll select and deselect individual faces anything you click on here. Okay, and again, push-pull, 0.1, make it slightly smaller. Okay, now the lid, I don't think I have anything, so I'll do a full inspection of everything, turn my view back on using the eyeballs over here. Okay, and if I do a little close inspection, you'll notice there's two sets of lines here around all the sides. What I will need to do next is on my back and my front components, because they are negative spaced components, I will need to go in and do that push-pull command on them too. So box front, make it active, and I'll need to go to the insides here. So select the top and the sides. Come in. Could you open the door for me, Lachlan? Sorry, someone at my door while I'm trying to record for you. Okay. So these sides here, 0.1, make them a bit smaller. Okay. Then last thing, box rear. And I'm going to do the same push-pull command on those sides as well. So this is a relatively new change in my method for sizing things. I used to measure the changes in sizing, but I think this is a better way because you actually get to physically adapt the model. So you might want to adapt this for 3D printing or laser cutting, in which case you could push-pull those parts either way. This is just doing a double check that I've actually got everything selected. And again, 0.1. What I'm doing there is just triple clicking on the number to select it fully and then just typing over the top. All right, now I think I'm pretty much ready to go with all of my sides. There's no other negative slots that I need to fit into. I'm going to turn everything on and I'm going to get straight to my manufacturing plan. So make the whole model active. Now to make a manufacturing plan, all we're doing is making a drawing with your vectors, okay? So vectors are just the lines from your plan drawing, which you've done before. So I'm going to go down to drawing, from design. Let's go okay on that. I'm going to have to change something here. How do I remove the configuration? I'll have to edit this out when I'm done. So we'll go to configure. Okay, I'll go to my other model. This is a setting I set before, so I'll edit that out. So I'll go to my model here. Okay, so we'll come back in after this. Good. Okay, so here I have my other. I have my other file ready to go, and what I'm going to do here is just show you how to make that plan drawing. So I'm going to go drawing from design, and under this menu here, because I've got this in components, I can separate each part that I've made. All right, so after this, I'm going to go through to select, and then when I go into the drawing page, I'll be able to make my own manufacturing plan based on the size of material that I actually have as well. So here I'm going to select the components that I want. So I'll go base first, and then I'll go to create new from scratch, A3 size, and we'll see how that goes for now. I can change the size down, and after this it comes up, I'll be able to see the view. So obviously I'll put the base down so I want to look from the top. And I want to change the view and the scale. So the scale should always just be 1. Okay, I'll put that down. And I'll go OK, and that'll put up a line drawing here. At this point, you can also go in and do this. Go through and delete. Okay, and then what I'll do is go into another base view. And I'll do a front view from here and make it 1:1. And I'll go OK. But in this new drawing, you'll notice how all the components are selected. So I've done the base. I don't need that. So I'll do the front next. And that's in the right orientation too. Notice how it's just the vectors of that front component there. Okay. And then next go, do base view, scale to 1. I'll do the rear, so I'll keep it in front orientation, and I'll go OK. And I'll just go down and leave box rear selected, and that has the vectors for the box rear, and you'll see that's slightly higher there too. I'll go do that process again for all of the other parts that I have. So you might need to change the orientation to right, and obviously change that as well. Go OK. Now you can just do the sides of the exact same component copied out. Right, there's my vectors there. Move them around if you need to. You don't need to change the color of the vectors or anything like that as well, which is really good. And finally, another base view. And this will be I'll do another right view. Actually, I'll do a left view to get the mirror of that. I'll make it 1. I'll go OK. Scroll all the way down and make sure I've got side 1 selected. I could pick side 2, but I've got side 1 here and side 2 there. Another base view, final part. I'll put it down, go to the top orientation, 1:1 scale. Go OK. And then I'll go back down to the very bottom and here, lid. And there we go. Okay, so that should be everything I need in terms of vectors that I can, to cut. What I should do now is save it, and I'll save it as name _ item name and manufacturing plan. And that's what it is, it's a manufacturing plan. So we're only relying on the vectors to do our manufacturing of this particular one. Okay, so it's just uploading now. Final thing you need to do is export as a PDF. Okay. Manufacturing plan version 1. Any other changes that you make, we'll sort those out later. I'm going to save this in my Google Drive. You'll need to do this a different way. You'll need to drop it in the manufacturing job view drive as well. 11DT, media design projects. Jewellery box. And I'll save it there. So PDF file's fine. And then what I'll do from here is I'll show you guys all how to cut this quickly, usually in 3mm plywood. All right. So thanks everyone for watching. I know that was a bit of a long tutorial as well, with a bit of noise in the background. But yeah, so hopefully you get a bit out of that. You also have the plan for alarm as well for your box. I'll add some extra content if you need it, because we do have some parts to add. Yeah, so I hope you liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And while I'm here, guys, I'll go back into it for a little bit, into Adobe Illustrator. So this is Adobe Illustrator just here. So to get to it, you'll need to go online and download Adobe Creative Cloud. So Adobe Creative Cloud and then Adobe Illustrator down here as well. So if you open it, this is Adobe Creative Cloud and you'll have your apps in it. You can kind of pick and choose which apps you download as well. But if you just Google Creative Cloud, go into that, and then you sign in with your education email address, and you should be able to get through to it from there. This isn't an essential criteria for you guys, especially if you're just learning how to model all this together. But for those of you who want that little bit of extension, I will go through that now. So Adobe Illustrator open, and you go to open your file. So shared drives for me, manufacturing, 11DT, media design projects, jewellery box, and that will open up your file. And then what you can do, I'll just show you a few little things that you can do here. You don't have to worry. Previously we had to make sure everything was coloured and everything like that. I'll show you how to do that I'll show you how to do that in the actual software that's attached to the laser cutter. Now, you can use, there's like a generative AI thing with Adobe at the moment, so you can just put in generative type AI tools here, images here, and then image trace them down. The main thing I'm going to show you is how to image trace. So first thing I'm going to do, you can leave it on Essentials if you want. It's kind of like the mode that Illustrator is in. I like mine on Layout. Just a few more options here to use. And really all I'm going to do this time is add an image to the lid. And usually it's like Rick and Morty or Star Wars or something like that. So I'll just go and Google an image. Let's see if I can find that generative image thing as well. So what I'll be doing here is just adding a box. So I'll draw a box onto my lid here. And then what I should see when I select it with my black mouse tool, so I've gone here, draw a rectangle, and I've just drawn that manually, and then I've gone to my selection tool. Okay, so I've gone there. I'll put that about in the middle, and if you go to this button here, generative beta, you can write, what could I write? I'll just write jewellery there and see what comes up. Okay, so while that's generating, so that'll put an image in there for me. You can put lettering and stuff on there too. Generative AI is pretty cool for generating graphics and stuff like that, but really we're just learning the skills of modifying our designs you know, image tracing as well in this case. So I'll just wait for that to generate up. Cool. So let's see what I've got here. Great. So I've got this beautiful little image of jewellery on top. And to zoom in, I'll go hit Control and go plus. You know, I'm quite happy with that. Like it's already in vectors and everything as well. So I might, for the purposes of this, I might redo it. But you can go through here and change, you know, change some things. So you can make it to a scene or an icon or a pattern or something like that. I'm just going to see how this this etches out of the laser. I could try and change this to like scales of shades of grey. Styles and settings. You can change the level of detail, which is pretty cool. So I'll change it to minimal, see what happens. And you can change your prompt here as well. So you could even add another box along the bottom here. And you can do a generative fill there. Text. Put a jewellery box there and just see what happens. I might have to do something else for. There might be a different option for putting in text as well. Or I can just type the text jewellery box as well. I might as well show you how to do that. If you go to the text tool and draw out the area you want to do. And then you can align that however you want to. You can change the font as you want to. Change the size of the font as you want to. Okay, and always go back to that black mouse tool or shortcut V to move that around. Align it with the object that you're doing, so you can go to this Align tab up here. Cool, and align all of that. And what I might do here is go to Type and just go Create Outlines. So that turns my text font into vectors. You can do other things here, like go in and delete certain parts or change the color of certain parts. So here I want that to be the color of it. Over here it's like a grey color. I want that to be white, so I'll just turn it all the way up to white. You can change that there. So I'll just take that through, see how it looks after it's all done. So from here, all I need to do is save it and put it into the manufacturing job queue, and we can go and laser cut that ourselves. So that's what I'm going to do now.